Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Venus transiting the 8th house in a natal chart. Now, if your house size is 30 degrees, which is average size, Venus will traverse the house on average for approximately 25 days. However, if your house size is larger and or Venus is in retrograde motion for any point during the transit, it will be transiting for a longer time. Well, anyway, people. Well, the first thing I look at when Venus is transiting one's natal 8th house is that this could be a period where you could be striving for peace, tranquility in a sexual relationship. If you are in one, if you are involved in an intimate relationship, you could be striving for peace. You could be applying negotiation, compromise, and you could be applying diplomacy and tact in these kind of relationships. Now, if you're in an acrimonious or contentious situation with a sexual partner at this point in time, this could be that time really where you may want to. It might be a very auspicious period for reconciliation with that person. Now, it could also indicate when you look at Venus transiting one's 8th house, is that you really, this is a time for really about perhaps peace and maybe even reconciliation and connection with shared resources. This could be a period if you're in some dispute with somebody that you're in, perhaps whether it's some partnership or what have you. This could be a time for making peace as far as that goes. It could be a period where maybe you might receive some money from someone that you're involved in an intimate relationship with, such as a sexual partner. It could be maybe a period which could be auspicious, maybe for inheritance. It could be something where you look at the 8th house, and it could even be a time where if you're expected, whether you're expected a tax refund, maybe you get more than what was anticipated, or if you're filling out a tax form, for example, maybe you actually get something where you may not have really anticipated a refund previously as at the beginning point when you were filing the tax return. So those are some things to look at as far as this transit goes, as far as Venus transiting your natal 8th house. It could also indicate a period where if you're unattached, maybe you look for somebody, you might find somebody that may be like a psychologist as far as in a relationship. Maybe it's a psychologist or somebody that might be an astrologer or someone involved with the occult, the supernatural, maybe somebody that's in some kind of detective work, someone that does something connected with deep research or investigation. So another thing to look at is that the 8th house is also connected with shared, well, it's not just shared resources and support, it's general support from others, such as monetary support. Really is what the 8th house is connected with, but it's also connected with it's moral and emotional support. So you might be getting a stronger outpouring, perhaps, of this emotional and perhaps moral support, more emotional support, I should say, during this time than usual. You might be expressing maybe a stronger need as far as sex goes. If you're in a situation with a significant other, you might be emphasizing the sexual part of this stronger than usual. It could be also at a point in time where you look at Venus, and Venus is about relationships, and the 8th house is really about digging deep, and it could indicate that this could be something where, if this is something where you feel a sexual partner might be duplicitous, you might be able to look through him or her like a piece of transparent film, or on the other side of the coin, if you're even being duplicitous in a relationship with someone, an intimate relationship with someone, that person might really be able to see through it, or see through any subterfuge, and you might be able to see through any subterfuge as far as the other person as well. So those are some things to look at as far as Venus transiting the 8th house in a natal chart. And this is also what's important to look at too, as far as the Venus transit in your natal 8th house, is to look at the sign that Venus is transiting in, for either whether it's the majority or the whole time of the transit to the house. Now let's say, for example, that Venus is in Gemini for either the majority or the whole time of the transit to the 8th house. Well, this could indicate perhaps enjoyment, maybe with a sexual partner, connected with intellectual stimulation, and a need perhaps for diversity, and maybe even in variety during this time. Another example, if Venus, say, is in Cancer for either the majority or the whole time of the transit to the 8th house, this could indicate perhaps a more nurturing and sympathetic attitude and connection with shared and others' resources during this time. Now, it's also important to look at the aspects that are made from the transit of Venus to your 8th house, the aspects that are made from this transit to your natal planets and points during this time, as this could impact this transit. Let's say now that you have Venus transiting your natal 8th house, and it's making a square in conjunct or opposition to your natal Mars. Well, this may suggest that perhaps, despite wanting peace and tranquility in matters connected with the sexual part, or matters connected with maybe with inheritances, or it could really it could indicate that perhaps there, and even maybe with shared resources, that you might not get what you want in terms of that, and the situations might be a little bit contentious and acrimonious during this period. Now let's take another example. Let's say that you have Venus transiting your natal 8th house, and it's making a sextile or trine to your natal Jupiter. Well, this could be auspicious perhaps for money used in traveling abroad, publishing, and higher education. However, being in the 8th house, perhaps this money may come from a tax refund, somebody in an intimate relationship, or maybe something connected from an inheritance perhaps. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Venus transiting the 8th house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about Venus transiting the 9th house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.